In a few months, there's going to be elections in New York City for mayor, and Jews are very uncomfortable with the whole situation for the obvious reason, because the front runner of the Democrat Party is an open Jew hater, and nobody likes it. So I would like to talk about that and about the whole situation going on now in the United States. A lot of people are missing the point. They're busy thinking whether Mamdani is going to win, whether he's not going to win. But that's not the point. The point is to realize the big picture of what's going on here. This factor that Mamdani won, such a kind of person who can be so openly against Jews, and he should be able to win the Democrat primaries, that shows where New York City is standing. So it makes no difference whether he's going to win the general elections or not. It shows us that this city is becoming more and more anti-Semitic. The anti-Semitism was rising in the past few years, since 2008. And it's been going up and up and up. And since October 7, it went even more. And now it's already at this point that so many people can officially elect a candidate because of his negative visions on Jews. And it's not only that, we got to look at other candidates as well. Who do we have over there? Last time I checked, there are basically 4 front runners. Current Mayor Eric Adams, Mamdani, and Curtis Levy in the Republican Party, and then you have Andrew Cuomo as independent. Now, let's take apart each and every candidate. Eric Adams is a liberal. He's a BLM supporter, Antifa supporter. Maybe he never really expressed himself against Jews, or he did anything against Jews, and maybe he was good for Jews. But doesn't mean he's actually a Jew lover, because it's a political thing. He sees that if he wants to be mayor, he has to get the Jewish vote, so therefore he'll do good things for the Jews, and this could switch in 1 second. He has a past history when he was a cop, before he was mayor, and it's not so golden, and it's not so golden now, but we have to look at his performance as being mayor. Crime went up during his time being mayor. He spent billions of dollars of taxpayers' money to give it to illegal immigrants, while New York City residents, including Jewish residents, did not have where to pay their rent or mortgage. So he took city money and spent it to people who committed crimes, and not to give it to people who actually need it, New York City residents. And the way he's heading the city, if let's say he wins another term, he's going to bankrupt the city. The amount of money he's spending and all of his other destructive policies, he's going to literally bankrupt the city. Now, let's go to Andrew Cuomo. I cannot believe that there were actually Jews who voted for him in the primaries. People completely forgot that a few years ago there was a lockdown. And as I like to call it, a damn panic, because that's what it was, a damn panic. And Andrew Cuomo made an executive order to force people with the virus into nursing homes, despite being warned that the elderly are the most vulnerable for the virus. So he forced in people with the virus, and that's how a lot of outbreaks happen. Plus, he made an executive order, which was literally against the law, an executive order that you do not have a right to give ivermectin to people who are already dying, which the law in New York states that if a person is about to die, the doctor has a right to try anything on the person. So he made an executive order which is against the law, and that caused thousands of lives. Because it was proven that most people who got ivermectin got cured. So, not to go into details, bottom line, this guy has blood on his hand. Not one, not two, in the thousands. And besides that, he literally expressed himself against the Jews. He literally spoke against the Orthodox Jews while he was governor. That means he promoted it, anti-Semitism. So, he is the other choice that we have over here. Another garbage. Now, let's go to the Republican frontrunner. When it's all said and done, he is the best candidate of all. But first of all, Curtis Levy is an idiot, literally an idiot. And he's against Orthodox Jews because he wants the state and the city being involved in school education and forcing our schools to teach stuff that they want. So that just shows a little bit who this guy is. Like here he calls himself a Republican, and here he's busy with his liberal policies. So you can see which kind of person he is. And there are people who claim he expressed himself sometimes against Jews as a whole, not only Orthodox Jews, which I don't have verification for it, but it makes a lot of sense. And about the Democrat candidate, Mamdani, I don't have to say anything because I think everybody knows. This guy is an anti-Semite and a communist. So when you look at the whole picture, who do we have over here? We have one version of garbage versus another version of garbage versus another version of garbage. That's it that we have. Now this shows us that this city is heading on a terrible direction, especially for Jews. Now I would like to talk about World War II. I think everybody heard about a lot of Polish Jews who escaped the Holocaust and they end up in Hungary. Basically, when the war started, it was Germany occupying Poland, and the Polish Jews and the German Jews were the first Jews where the Holocaust started. And the Hungarian Jews were brought in 1944, most of them less than a year before the war ended. So there were a lot of Jews who managed to escape Poland. They broke out of the ghetto, and the best way to go by land somewhere was to Hungary, because that was south of Poland at that time. And they ended up in Hungary, and they saw that the Hungarian Jews are living their normal lives, and they told them what's going on in Poland. And the Hungarian Jews didn't believe them, and they actually threw them out of the city. They were so against listening to Polish Jews that they literally kicked them out of the city, and they said that the Polish Jews just want money, they want charity, so they come and try to play victim over here and think through that will give them more money. Now, the question is, why didn't the Hungarian Jews believe the Polish Jews? So the obvious answer is because it never happened before. Like right now, if you hear the concept of somebody doing something like that, like creating an Auschwitz and started killing people in the masses, you already hear this because it happened before. But before World War II, this concept of grabbing a whole bunch of people from one place and deporting them to another place just to kill them, and all kinds of other atrocities that the Nazis committed, it was never heard. So therefore you come and say something that is so out of the ordinary and it made no sense to them. Why should they believe them? Now, but the bigger question is, in some cities there were so many Polish Jews who came there. It could be a couple of thousand during a period of 4 years. A couple of thousand Polish Jews came from Poland to Hungary and told the same story. So why didn't the Hungarian Jews recognize that maybe there's something going on? And why didn't they just send somebody that he should check out the situation and come back and report and say what you saw over there? Because if there would have been one guy going to Poland to check out the situation, they would have known that danger could come to them. You know what the answer is? It's not that Hungarian Jews didn't believe the Polish Jews. They didn't want to believe the Polish Jews. Because when you tell a person, you know, the situation in your place is not safe, and something bad is going to happen, what does that mean? That I have to pick myself up and go somewhere else. Now go where? When? How? A person by nature gets very comfortable in a certain situation. And if a person grew up in a city and he lives over there and he's married, the person knows, over here I know my stores, I know my shuls, I know my neighbors, everything that's going on here. I need to find a job, I want to open a business, all the resources, everything I know over here. To start everything from new, it's very difficult. And people don't want to hear that. It takes a person out of his comfort zone. So therefore, it's easier for the person to lie to themselves and say, no, everything is okay, rather than listen to somebody, even the person saying the truth. It's called living in denial. And that is ultimately what happened. The Hungarian Jews didn't want to believe the Polish Jews because it took them out of their comfort zone. Until it was too late. So 100% it was a Gezerah min hashamayim. And the Holocaust apparently was supposed to happen in Hungary. And especially there were so many stories of people tried to save the Hungarian Jews and nothing worked. But Hashem twisted their minds. But when it's all said and done, the way it happened like this. That they did not want to believe the Polish Jews because it was convenient for them not to believe it. We Jews are now in a similar situation, especially in New York City and in the metro of New York City. Most people who realize what's going on here don't like to talk because they know if they're going to start talking, people will hate them. Because you're taking away people from their comfort zone. I'm not afraid. And I will tell you straight open, the situation is terrible. This city does not seem to have a future whatsoever. I'm not even sure how much of a future the United States has as a whole, but the city does not seem to have a future. And especially for Jews, it does not seem that in the next few years, a Jew is going to be able to live safe in New York City and in the metro of New York City. Because if the city goes down, the whole metro goes down. To explain a little better, and the reason why I brought up the other candidates besides the Democrat Shagets, if you look even back in the past elections, there's been already a few elections that there hasn't been a normal candidate running. One more crazy than the other, one more evil than the other. Because if you go look at the city council, go look at one session of that city council. Back in the days, I'm not even talking that long ago, if you were a minority or, openly gay, stuff like that, you had a bigger chance of winning a seat in the city council. Today's days, in most districts, it's not just good enough to be a minority or something different. It's not good enough to be LGBTQ plus whatever it is. You have to be LGBTQ with all the other ABCs they have already on there. Plus, you have to have another minimum of 5 other sick ideas and belonging to some sort of sick movement. Minimum of 5, which is that as an addition to LGBTQ. So somebody even should look at you when it comes to the elections. If you should go to a session in city council just to see the way they're dressed and just to start hearing them speak, you will literally think you're in Saddam. I think in English it said Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom v'Amorah. And not just Sodom, a mental institution in Sodom. The way they speak, they do not sound like normal people. And not just it's crazy, pure evil. Evil and crazy combined. That's how it looks in New York City City Council sessions. So why in the world would any normal person want to be mayor, that anything you have to pass through, you have to deal with this kind of nutcases, plus you're under the state, so you have to deal with the state, plus you get heat from the media and all kinds of idiots and crazy organizations in New York City. Nobody wants it. So either the person has to be crazy, either the person has to be evil. Only those two kind of people have even an interest of becoming mayor in New York City. And this is getting worse and worse. So what does that mean? That this city is going down, down, down the drain, especially when it comes to Jews. Now, to bring out the point stronger, I don't know how much you know about history of New York City, but in 1993, Giuliani won David Dinkins in the elections. And a big reason why a lot of Jews started moving away from the city was because of Mayor David Dinkins, because the city became crazy crime. And if David Dinkins would have stayed mayor, I don't think any Orthodox Jews would have still lived in New York City. So the only reason why this city got stability was because of Giuliani. Now, today's days, let's say Giuliani can run a third time, or any other person like him should become mayor. We're not dealing today's days with the same problems that we dealt back in the days. Back in the days when Giuliani was dealing with problems, he was dealing with thugs, criminals, meaning people going around making holdups, stealing stuff from a house, all this kind of robberies, all this kind of things. So they were all individuals or small gangsters, and all you had to do is actually arrest them and get good prosecutors to make sure they go to jail, which the previous mayors just didn't do it. So Giuliani became mayor and he did it. But today's days, we're dealing with a far bigger and more dangerous kind of criminal, because we have in the city probably over 1 million terrorists, and of course they're not called terrorists. Now let us say that. They're called liberals. But the definition of terrorist means somebody that terrorizes other people. And all that liberals do is they terrorize everybody. And there's well over 1 million in the city, and all they want is to literally destroy the city. Now, the numbers are too big to be able to control them. So therefore, this city is doomed. It's going in a terrible direction, and there is no way for anybody to reverse it. I mean, everything is possible, but it's like a 1% chance. So that's why I'm saying the city is doomed. Because when you look at the factor, the residents in the city, the mentality, and the people who got elected for the past elections in city council and a mayor, and all the candidates running, you see that this city does not seem to have a future, especially for Jews. And when the city goes down, the metro goes down with it. So the question is, if we have to get out of the city, where do we move? Do we move to Florida? Do we move to Texas? To other state? The answer is we can move to a lot of places. But when you look in the United States as a whole, anti-Semitism is rising in the entire United States. It's not just New York City. A few months ago, 2 Jews were killed just because they're Jews in Washington, D.C. Cold-blooded murder just because they're Jews. So what does that show us? That anti-Semitism is rising all over the place. So maybe in Democrat states, anti-Semitism will be shown first, than the conservative states, but eventually we don't have a future in the entire United States. The entire United States is not going in a direction in favor of Jews. It's going in the opposite direction. So what does that mean? We don't have a future in the United States. So let's say if a group of people get together and they move to Florida or whatever it should be, and knowing that in 10 years from now you're going to have to move away from there because it's not going to be safe over there as well. That is not rational. So the question is, where can we go where it's going to be safe for us permanently? The answer is Israel, our homeland. And the land of Israel is a land that was given to us, and we were exiled, and because of that we ended up in America. And the way I see it that this is a call from Hashem. Hashem is calling us to go home. That it's time for us to leave the exile for good and to go home. And to go to Israel and to settle over there. And stay there forever. And I was thinking to myself that if a person picks himself up and decides to move to Israel, which people do all the time, it's very difficult. Because you go alone, and you get to a new city, even though you have been there before, but you never lived there, and now you have to get to know the whole neighborhood, the neighbors, the stores, the surroundings, the connections, and where you can find jobs, and all that stuff. It's like a new adjustment, and it's very difficult. But what if a group of people get together and they move together? Then it's way more easier because they support each other. And in a way, it could kind of feel like you're home. Home meaning what you used to. So I came up with this idea, what if we could get together a huge group of American Jews and build a city in Israel which should be an American city. Meaning a city of American people, so everybody should feel like they're home. So it's not like you're going to have to move to Israel and go to a whole different mentality of people. You're going to go to Israel being in the same mentality of people you are used to. And it could even be if people can manage to get together a group of their neighbors or a group of their community from their shul. So we could literally build an American city and be together with people that we used to in the land of Israel. So the transition is not going to be so difficult. And I'm not like those people who go around threatening people, because people have been doing this for years and for years. I mean, before I was born, they've been going telling people like, you know, something terrible is going to happen. It's going to be so dangerous, and you know, only Israel will be safe. And they were trying to threaten people that people should move to Israel out of fear. And a lot of people moved to Israel, and so far it's been more safe in America than in Israel. I'm not coming and making any threats or trying to frighten you or anything like that. All I'm saying is that statistically, every place, every time big anti-Semitism, big anti-Semitic movements happen and they did horrible things to the Jews, it always started with small things, and it became more and more and more. It was rising and rising and rising until it became terrible. And the same pattern is happening right now in America. It started 2008 and it's already on a very strong point. Therefore, it looks like over the next few years, things are going to be terrible. So therefore, it's logically now time to start thinking about moving to Israel. Doesn't mean you have to move tomorrow. No, now we have time to start preparing and make a plan to move to Israel. Now, you could look at this as a negative thing and thinking I'm here to promote negativity and trying to make people uncomfortable and trying to create fear over here. But this is not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually seeing this whole event as a positive thing, and I see this as maybe this is a call from Hashem, and maybe Hashem wants us to come home and to move back to Israel. And all this stuff happening is just the early warning sign to tell us it's time to make a plan, and it's time to realize that our time in America is over and we need to go home. And if we could do it now with comfort, why wait till the last minute when it will be uncomfortable? Have a wonderful day.